deze solution is echt niet leuk. Ik kan gewoon niet terug naar Morocco.
The State Secretary for Justice and Security was not allowed to end the temporary protection of the so-called third country national on September 4, 2023. And then, suddenly, the duration of the temporary protection must be in line with the directive, and it follows that it will end on March 4, 2024. It's surprising and it's hard. And this means that from that moment on, the third country national is not entitled to stay in the Netherlands on the basis of this directive. Okay. But what we do not understand is the motive behind this decision by the State Council. Derdelanders, the third country nationals from Ukraine, had been under this directive before July 19, 2022. For 18 months, we have been living under constant stress and pressure, working and sleeping with anxiety due to the series of frightening letters received from the IND. Up until September 4, 2023, while others groups received friendly letters. We began receiving these petrifying letters a few months after we settled down in the Netherlands. We have not even had one single moment to recover from the war trauma we experienced in peace. And yet, the best solution the State Council see fit is to put our lives in misery again because of our status in Ukraine. Okay. There are some shocking revelations that I am going to reveal to you if you stick with me till the end. I have done some extensive reading and research about this extension. Maybe this will reveal what is not understood. You see, from the EU official press release, it doesn't say third country nationals with temporary residence permit from Ukraine should be excluded from the directive. See for yourself. In order to provide certainty for more than 4 million Ukrainian refugees currently living in the EU, the Council agreed to extend the temporary protection for people fleeing from Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine from 4 March 2024 to 4 March 2025. That's it. Even on the official Netherlands government website on government.nl, it says the war in Ukraine is still ongoing. Accordingly, EU member states have agreed today in Brussels to extend the current temporary protection directive by 1 year until 4 March 2025. This will allow refugees from Ukraine to remain in EU member states for an additional year. As millions of people from Ukraine fled the war with Russia, the Council of the European Union activated the Temporary Protection Directive on 4 March 2022. This gives refugees from Ukraine a temporary right to accommodation, medical care, employment, and education in all EU member states. Current national laws and regulations governing this will also remain in force until 4 March 2025. There seems to be a flaw in this decision. The announcement was short. The brief explanation backing up the decision didn't have enough significant information that instigated the ruling. According to the EU Temporary Protection Directives, everyone who is under the protection also falls under this extension in every member state. Even various non-EU countries such as Albania, Norway, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom have introduced similar protection programs. After thoroughly reading through this explanatory memorandum, in which the discussion of the extension of temporary protection as introduced by implementing decision of the EU 2022/382, it does not explicitly mention the exclusion of third country nationals with temporary permits from Ukraine. The focus of the memorandum is on extending the temporary protection for the displaced persons from Ukraine identified in the Council Implementing Decision 2022/382. This includes addressing the rights and protection under directive and the objectives of extending the protection. However, the decision announced by the Council of State on Wednesday, January 17th and at 10 o'clock in the morning shocked everyone, including COA, VGN, VWN, our lawyers, and the professor at the Radboud University in Meiningen, Mr. Will Ekelebon, an immigration and human rights lawyer who has been representing the third country nationals, shared his thoughts after the announcement. Here is what he had to say. He said, "That is the Council of State's own consideration. I and other lawyers have questions about whether that is correct. That requires further study." And on the X platform, he said, "We won, but the verdict also raises questions. We will study this carefully." If you would ask me, I would say, yes, we are happy that the State Secretary did not have the authority to revoke the right of residence of the third country nationals who had temporary residence permits from Ukraine. But the rest of the verdict shockingly took another turn. That is just what it is. And Dr. Carolus Grutas, a professor and researcher at the Center for Migration Law in Radboud University, shared his thoughts on the LinkedIn social platform as well on the decision. Here is what he had to say. His comments are in Dutch, but I will read them in English. It says, "Remarkable ruling by the State Council regarding the protection of third country nationals from Ukraine. The question was whether the State Secretary was authorized to end the protection of this group. Immigration judges had different opinions on this. The State Council says no. The State Secretary is not allowed to do that. But without being asked, the State Council then adds the protection of these third country nationals ends by operation of law on March 4, 2024. That is strange, because the European Council has extended the operation of the TBR until March 2025. It seems to be an extremely pragmatic assistance to the State Secretary. It was not allowed, but do not despair, because the protection of this group automatically expires in 7 weeks." As if the State Council had been asked the question, "Is this apple pie?" The State Council says no, but the spinach is on sale. Inimitable. It is absolutely heartbreaking to see how the effort and time spent on the court hearing took an unexpected twist, which in the end still indirectly favors the IND. Vluchtelingen Werk Netherlands also commented on the decision. They say, "This is not the ruling that we would have granted third country nationals. Their lives are turned upside down again. We will provide the best possible support to third country nationals who need to make a new plan for their future. It is a complicated ruling that will be further studied by the lawyers." The ruling was unexpected for the Vluchtelingen Netherlands. This organization understands the pain and trauma a refugee experiences on a daily basis because they help and oversee the wellness and hospitality that refugees go through every day. They have expressed their opinion that this ruling wasn't the right choice for the third country nationals. COA, the Central Agency for the Reception of Asylum Seekers, is already fed up with being in the middle of this situation. But we can't blame them. This is also an organization working hard to create a living space for other refugees, which is not an easy process. They have a lot of backlogs to work on, and we don't see how that is going to solve the turmoil we both find ourselves in. COA has announced that they have no option of receiving third country nationals if we apply for asylum. We also know that the chances of getting our asylum approved is 0.001%. Our case is different and will be difficult to fit into the scope of a regular asylum framework. However, this is what COA had to say after the announcement of the decision by the judge on January 17. We have no space. That is clear. We already have capacity problems. There are a large number. When the third country nationals arrive at our doorstep tomorrow, we will have no room for them. This is a shocking revelation that reveals that the State Council may have or not properly consulted COA before making this decision. Perhaps this is a normal procedure. I don't know. But in my opinion, that is how I see it. Here is a report from VNG, the Association of Dutch Municipalities. Until the clarity is provided, nothing will change to the current reception and arrangement. Here is what Monique van der Poel, a politician and law expert at the EPB Law, posted on X platform. State Secretary of Justice reprimanded harshly by Administrative Judge Randstad. Legal disgrace. The Netherlands may not deport third country nationals from Ukraine until March 4. They have the right to stay here under Reichstein temporary protection. Netherlands was allowed to decide for itself whether third country nationals were given the same right as Ukrainians and decided to do so. Last year, we suddenly received the announcement that the deadline had been shortened to September 4, 2023. That turns out to be not legally valid. I think she got some of the dates wrong, but from the consistency of the date, she definitely made a typographic error, which we all do because numerically, the key number 4 is technically close to number 1. So she eventually wanted to type March 4 and September 4. The ruling by the State Council also seems confusing to her, which raises lots of questions. Someone with a user handle What All Things also shared his thoughts in our recent post on X platform. So here is what he thinks. If there had not been a war, these people would have returned to their country of origin. So all the best and have a safe trip home. So can we blame him? No. But instead of replying to him, I have decided to address what he thinks publicly in this video. Because in fact, he made a valid statement that needs to be addressed. So my response to Manders is this. Manders, just imagine the war in Ukraine didn't happen. the dreams and plans and goals of everyone affected by the war crisis in Ukraine were not torn apart. Do you think we will be here? Everyone's case and situation is different. When the war started, some people had nothing to lose, while some had lots to lose, a lot to lose. Every one of us has stories to tell. See, if I put your soul in one third of my body to feel my loss, you won't survive the day of the night. Trust me, you won't. You do not want to experience what it feels like when rockets and bombs are flying all over your head, and the thought that you could die at any moment with your body being torn apart into pieces beyond recognition. These rockets and bombs didn't ask for passports, or if we carry temporary or residence or permanent permits. Everyone dies without a sentiment or judgment of what background we have. And that poses these questions to everyone, including the authorities. What does humanitarianism mean to you? What is the love and unity? Where is compassion and empathy? What would you do if your sons and daughters were in our shoes? How do you think their lives would be if they weren't treated equally, even though they experienced the same war trauma like others did? What I know is showing empathy and compassion helps you feel the gravity of other people's feelings and experience. So, my beautiful people of the Netherlands, we have always been grateful for your support and will not be forgotten. That will never be forgotten from generation to generation. And yes, at this moment, there is chaos, hatred, global warming, wars, economic crisis, inflation, and so much more. But one thing we all have to remember is we are all inhabitants of this planet. One day we will be gone, and what will be left behind is how much compassion and heart we have touched. And that is how you will be remembered. Believe me, this is evident in history. Our goal on this planet is more than just a national identity. As humans, we were supposed to function together as one, globally, show compassion towards each other, and emerge as one with love. I suppose this was one of the main objectives of the founding fathers of the United Nations. To unite nations together, and for a fact, what we've seen in this generation since October 24, 1945 is quite the opposite. If you as a world leader, a lawmaker, or a mayor, maybe you are a governor, a judge, a police officer, or you're working in any kind of public office that constitutes law enforcement, can start to show compassion and love to others, not just only to your own family and friends, but also to strangers next door, without a judgment of differences or background. This world will gradually become a better place for all globally. As third country nationals who fled Ukraine with or without permanent residency in Ukraine, we believe that all humans deserve respect and empathy, regardless of their background or nationality. Our mission is to advocate for those values, to stand up against discrimination, and to create a world where compassion and fairness prevail. We understand the significant challenges in navigating this situation. We passionately urge the State Council, Radvan Stat, to revisit this decision emphasizing the principles of humanity, empathy, and fairness. The Netherlands has always been a beacon of hope, championing human rights, and we trust in our capacity to continue this legacy, even in the face of adversity. Thank you. One love with peace and unity, and God bless.